Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Sonic the Hedgehog here, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Merxy Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Klonoa for the Nintendo Wii, also known as in Japan, Klonoa Daughter Phantomile Remake for the Nintendo Wii as well. So, last time we did manage to completely done with the forms of Vision 4-1 and especially noticeable with Vision 4-2. And today for this episode is the fact that we're about to be continue on and move on to the next vision in this entire game, which is basically it's going to take place in somewhat in the Temple of the Sun. So even then though, here we go on to Vision 5-1 and also known and also beyond that we also might actually bump into Vision 5-2. In this case, to me, though, one of the longer levels of the game, because, well, there's gonna be a lot of backtracking segments.
Thank you, Pamela. You can just drop us off at that entrance.
Are you sure this is where I should leave you?
Yes, this is perfect. Thanks for your help. Don't worry, this shouldn't take too long.
Just be careful, you two.
Come on, let's go!
Alright, so to get things started with Vision 5-1, we're going to be able to introduce the 4 jewels.
Well, we managed to get into the temple, but it's so quiet in here, it's creepy.
You're Mr. Klonoa and Mr. Hugo, correct?
Huh?
We've been waiting for you.
Took you long enough.
Who are you guys?
I am Solar, a priest of Coronia, the Temple of the Sun.
You know, thanks a lot.
Please allow me to bid you welcome.
Glad you made it.
Thanks.
I guess they must have known we were coming somehow. Oh, by the way, you two haven't seen any strange people coming in here recently, have you?
Yes, we have.
You bet.
Please take a look over here.
Pay attention.
Do you see these 4 empty pedestals? If the jewels that belong on top of these pedestals aren't returned, the passage to the altar won't open.
A big no-go.
Unfortunately, all the jewels have been carried off by servants of Gaudius.
Didn't even ask permission.
And I'm sorry to say that the 2 of us are not particularly good at fighting.
In other words, we're whips.
I beg of you, could you please find the 4 jewels and return them to their pedestals?
Give it a try if you got the guts.
We're depending on you.
Let us down and you'll regret it.
Hey, wait! Hold on a minute!
I guess we'll just have to go find all the jewels.
Guess so.
So yes, indeed, we still need to able to get ourselves these 4 jewels representing with the different colors, red, blue, green, and yellow. However though, I realized about something is the fact that during the likes of in the actual Let's Play of Klonoa Daughter Phantomile for the PlayStation 1, that normally Piglets managed to able to go for a normal route, but this time around though, on its remake, I'm actually going to be going the opposite direction this time, so I can able to actually go after the yellow jewel, and especially noticeable with the green jewel as well, and we'll save the forms of the red jewel and the blue jewel for last, because I feel like trying to go for a different order might be a little bit of a difference as far as I'm most likely consist of, because even then I really don't mind about changing things too much about it, because even then though, because I really don't mind about that at all. So yeah, you probably get the idea to see how this will go, because even then though, I know some people seem to go for a different route compared to me, but even then though, that's only because normally we didn't manage to done the normal route from the previous version, so I thought to myself I'm actually gonna go for a different route this time, like, just go for the right side as opposed to the left section on that particular jewel grinding and stuff like that. So yeah, you probably get the idea of how this is going, so but as far as when I said this before, and I believe Piglet also mentioned about this during the likes of in the Klonoa Daughter Phantomile PlayStation 1 Let's Play, is the fact that to me though, this is considerably the longest world in the entire game, at least to me though anyway, because wow, as I mentioned before, you need to go backtrack for those different segments of the level, especially noticeable about the fact that we might actually introduce into ourselves this, the different level gimmick whenever we get to Vision 5-2, so I'm sure many people already know what I'm going to talk about for this point right there, so yeah, you probably get the idea for this little throughout, so... And of course, there's going to be a lot of emphasis on activating all kinds of switches in this particular level, because otherwise, that you really have to activate them in order to actually continue throughout the level. So, yeah, you probably get the idea to see how this will go. So anyways, there's a checkpoint right there. And let's go and get ourselves one of those villager, you know, pieces and stuff. And let's go ahead and, oh, screw you, ceilings. And, oh god, that was close. Alright, so let's go ahead and try this again. Oh god, oh, really? Oh, the knockback screws me up. Oh well, that's okay though, because we just got a checkpoint right there, so, okay, so... okay, right, there we go. So yeah, today's day is the 4th of the 27th of June, in this case in 2019, so generally speaking that today's day is the fact that specifically in the UK release of, or in this case the United Kingdom version of Super Smash Bros. Brawl, is now being released for about 11 years old, which is kind of shocking if you ask me, even though I haven't really, haven't gone back into Brawl just yet, because otherwise I'm still used to with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which, fundamentally though, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is definitely one of my favorite Smash Bros. Game now, because even then though with, you know, expansive amount of characters, and especially noticeable with how the fact that I just love the, you know, you get the idea whenever you really love the old fighters now makes a comeback, like Young Link, and also same applies by the forms of Pichu, well, not necessary per se, and also same applies for Solid Snake, and heck, even with the Pokemon Trainer, which I don't mind about Pokemon Trainer too much compared to Charizard all by himself. That's only because, well, I'm pretty much used to with the Pokemon Trainer, where it's usually super cool about Pokemon Trainer in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and especially noticeable with Ultimate especially, that you can able to actually switch between these 3 different types of Pokemon when you start the actual main battle. So, that's pretty swell if you ask me, so because of that though, although I'm sure enough for this point, you gotta be kidding me. Oh jeez, this is why I feel like this is going to be a lot of emphasis on trial and error in this level sometimes, because even then, whenever I was trying to able to go after, you know, the pieces of the villagers and all that stuff, seriously, I just managed to able to keep on getting a lot of trial and error sometimes, because even then, sometimes because I easily lost my footing, or especially noticeable with completely different elsewhere. So because of this though, that's okay though, because I managed to got the, well, as long as I can able to actually bypass that flamethrower of all things, well, despite the fact that this version of the game still does not have invincibility frames, just like the PlayStation version, so, but even then, who knows, we'll find things out until Empire of Dreams for the Game Boy Advance, and as a matter of fact though, with the forms of the next Klonoa Let's Play, aside from, you know, Empire of Dreams, as for Klonoa 2 Lunati's Veil, it will definitely be next year, because otherwise we need to be able to actually get these couple of Let's Plays finished before we're able to actually just for the sake of like, well, for instance, for example, that me and Pinkie Pie are still in the middle of the process of, almost trying to finish up with the entire Let's Play of Super Mario Party, and then after that, who knows, whenever if the next Mario Party will be announced out of nowhere from that specific moment, I don't know, we'll find things out exponentially. Well, it all depending on the forms of Nintendo Direct stuff, so even then we'll see what happens until, as far as what I'm guessing it correctly, it will be the next Nintendo Direct, it will be hosting during the September this year. So if that will be the case, just like the ones and how it does it from, you know, the Nintendo 3DS Direct main focus during the 2016 September, and especially noticeable with the Nintendo Direct in 2017 in September, and also we got the September Nintendo Direct from last year. So, excuse me, I had some chili dogs. I do apologize for that belching right there. So. It might be incredibly gross to able to hear that, but anyways though, yeah, I definitely expect about the fact that the next Nintendo Direct will be pretty much going to be guaranteed to be on September, because we already had that from last year, and especially notable with the forms of in 2017 as well. So, but even then, I could assure that it might be the exact same focus as the forms of how it does it on the previous Nintendo Directs, which usually focuses on Nintendo Switch from February, and that can be the same applies for this year's E3. So, who knows, we're able to find things out and during, I don't know, for some time, but even then we'll find out exponentially, and especially noticeable with how the fact that there might be some Gamescom at some point and during the likes of in August, because they always hosted the forms of Gamescom, you know, specific events in during in August, when they trying to show off more gameplay footage on something else, like specifically that last year that I think that I can assure that Buttercup already mentioned about the forms of you know, with the first reveal of the new mode in Super Mario Party, which is of course River Survival. So I'm pretty sure that we've already know about this kinds of stuff already, because it's almost about a year old for that game is, especially with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as well. In fact, we're actually in the halfway point of the, you know, for a year release of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate until, you know, the 7th of December in 2018. So if it becomes like, you know, the 7th of December during the likes of in 2019, it will be a 1-year anniversary of that amazing fighting game. So even then, I wish I could want to come back into that game, but I'm also able to wait for it until when the next pieces of DLC were about to be released at some time, but during the likes of in summer term, which is of course the hero from the Dragon Quest series, and especially notable with, of course, Banjo-Kazooie, the most amazing duo from the at the end of the 1990s and stuff like that, which still I'm very glad that these two duos now finally make it back in the return, which even then it can be, it's kind of like the same thing for how it does it back in during the likes of in 2016 E3 stuff, that they finally managed to able to make Crash Bandicoot make a return as well, and especially noticeable with the classic Spyro stuff make a return as well. So even then I'm very quite surprised about that particular selection, honestly. So even then I don't know exactly what the specific release date is going to be for specifically for the Hero DLC, and especially noticeable with Banjo-Kazooie, but sure enough, I'm pretty sure we might as well get the Hero first, and then after the Hero, then obviously Banjo-Kazooie will be up next, and then obviously during later down the road, it will comes down to the final 2 packs of the DLC stuff for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which I'm honestly happy about that.
Whoa!
Very good job.
Not too bad, I guess.
The passage to the altar is open once more. I'm sure the High Priest will also be very pleased.
You guys could be happy too. Go ahead.
Okay.
What's happening? We're having a solar eclipse?
You've got to be kidding.
Blasted Goddess! This means he must have the moon pendant.
Had a feeling that's what went down.
Who is Goddess anyway?
Goddess, the King of Darkness, is a being possessed by nightmares. He has awakened from a 3,000-year sleep and now seeks revenge.
Basically, he's Mr. Big Bad himself.
But we might still be able to stop him. Quickly, you have to get to the altar before the seal is broken.
What are you waiting for? Get moving.
What about you guys?
We are only observers.
I told you, we're wimps.
Now, enter into the light.
It won't hurt.
So there we go, as you can see on this particular scene right there, that we've obviously already completed the Vision 5-1. So even then though, onwards to now onto Vision 5-2, aka probably the longest level in the whole entire game, just because, well, you probably get the idea what I'm going to talk about here, because if you're following through our Let's Play of Klonoa Daughter Phantomile on the PlayStation 1, then we might actually introduce into ourselves the, well, something completely different gimmick for, you know, specific doubts. So even then though, let's just go ahead and just, you know, trying to jump into the forms of Vision 5-2. But before we get this thing started though, we just want to listen to this very peaceful music in the background, and since that stops, then sure enough, we're able to actually jump into this level now. So, and hopefully with the next boss fight here now too.
Who's that?
Are you alright, sir?
Thank you for your help. It caught me off guard.
Who are you?
I am Moire, the High Priest of this temple. I oversee the sanctuary just up ahead.
Where's Gaudius?
I am afraid that it's too late. The moon door has already been opened. And Cress, the Moon Kingdom, will soon be reawakened.
But what will happen then?
The Moon Kingdom Cress gathers up the power of dreaming and gives form to Phantomile. In other words, it's the land where all things are created. Gaudius is trying to turn dreams into nightmares and unleash evil upon the world.
There must be a way. It's not over yet. We can't just give up. Even if the Moon Kingdom has appeared, we have to stop Gaudius.
All right. I'll let you two give it a try. Go into the sanctuary.
Right.
The solar eclipse gives the enemy power. You must attack them when there is light.
If we have to attack the enemy when there's light, that would also mean that they're more dangerous when it's dark, right?
All right, let's go.
And yes, we might actually introduce into ourselves the actual, like, eclipse thingy system, which even I know that if we manage to able to get outside and stuff like that, like it usually happens in the outside portion of the Temple of the Sun, which basically every time when the actual solar eclipse might actually just starts to kick in, then once the solar eclipse has been active, then obviously you can't harm the enemies anymore until when it's like daylight, then obviously you can harm them. But when it gets to solar eclipse, then you can't able to actually have a method to able to use projectiles from the enemies themselves. So again, it's all about timing, reflexes, and all that stuff, but I will admit though right away is that the actual sound effects, specifically on the Wii version remake, that it does feel a little bit more quieter than the forms of how it does in the original PlayStation version, at least to me though anyway. So, but anyways, so let's go ahead and just fly towards that. Oh, okay, very well then. Anyways though, so yeah, as I mentioned before about the fact that today's day is the 27th of June today, so even then though, that tomorrow, well, and during after whenever I get into, or before I get into the forms of Vision 6 and stuff, Super Mario Maker 2 for the Nintendo Switch will be releasing tomorrow, so I'm really looking forward to that particular game, and like always, the reviews, scores has been up, you know, for almost instant, so even then though, as far as the reviews are concerned, they surprisingly enjoyed that, so excuse me, I really do apologize for this point, folks, because again, I just recently managed to eat some of my chili dogs and stuff like that, which again, must admit that I do apologize with the actual rudeness, belching and stuff, so I must admit that I do apologize. So, anywho though, so, as far as everything else though, aside from Super Mario Maker 2 will be releasing tomorrow, to be honest with you guys, there's not much else I can really talk about this at this point, apart from the fact that there's actually pretty sad news during the likes of in last Wednesday or something like that. Like, there's a YouTube person that he normally did manage to did done some reactions on, you know, some Nintendo games and stuff like that. You know the guy I was talking about, which, honestly, I felt very sorry for him, honestly, because well, recently he just passed away due to the fact that, well, it might be something related to mental health issues, which it was pretty sad and depressing at the same time, because you know how the fact that how terrible death was, because even then though, if death was a thing, then it would be sad for everyone, myself included, because even then, well, I was not even expected to see this one coming, because even then, that I noticed about the fact that most people seem to know him, which I do apologize for the actual pronunciation of his name correctly, but it's something related to, I don't know how to explain this actually, because I know it's been such a long while since I actually just managed to notice this guy on YouTube, so... Anyways, though, there's an extra life there. And of course, yes, most likely it forms of how it does it on the PlayStation version of Klonoa Daughter Phantomile, that every time you die, and then also at the same time when you obtained the actual life token, once again, it will manage to able to not reappear. That, you know, just like it informs in other games here and there too. Like, for instance, like, I would say Sonic Adventure 2, and especially noticeable with, I would say Sonic 06 or anything like that, so even then that makes it a little bit super sufficient. So, yeah, you probably get the idea with the actual, like, the lack of extra lives respawning, so you probably get the idea, so... And obviously today's weather, as far as I haven't really mentioned about the actual weathers today for this point, especially noticeable on the United Kingdom country. Holy crap, we're actually going to a very hot temperature at the moment, and as a result though, I just don't even move my, you know, my momentum very well, because, well, every time whenever I went out somewhere, especially noticeable on this sunny day, holy cow, I just become very sticky at some points. I know it's mainly due to the actual heat or something like that, but even then, I really don't mind summer season as it used to be, because even then, I still really enjoyed this particular season. But most of the time though, whenever I was trying to able to move my body, even with my spine and all that stuff, and most of the time though, I can rarely move myself for this part, so... Yeah, and also fundamentally though, is the fact that, we're gonna be able to actually go through Klonoa for the Nintendo Wii redo Let's Play for that specific, one straightforward, because even then, without any sort of interruptions, like specifically... although I was gonna go back onto Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, but I probably should do that at some point in next month, potentially, but it really depends on how long some of these Let's Plays can go by, especially with, you know, still need to able to get back onto Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, and also Mario needs to still need to get back onto Super Mario Odyssey before we move on to the last redo Let's Play from now on though, and that is of course Super Mario Sunshine until next year, so should be interesting to say much for that, so yeah, you probably get the drill for that part. So anyways, let's go and activate that switch over there, so just in case we can able to actually just to continue proceeding for this point. I was gonna double check what's beyond in that egg over there, but my guess is the actual heart healing right there, so I'm probably not gonna spend most of my time, well, unless if I was being, you know, super curious about what the actual egg usually contains inside, which, sure enough, is just another piece of heart, so... Nah, it's not my... forget it. I might as well grab that anyway, just for the sake of, like, you know, just be fully generated with our health and stuff like that, but even though, still, that this version is way easier than the forms of how it does it on the PlayStation version still. Well, at least the matter of the fact that you actually got more health points than the likes of how it does in the originals though, so yeah, you get the drill for that part, so... As for every single other aspects I just want to able to talk about, now originally I was gonna able to save my cash for the likes of trying to able to pre-order myself, you know, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening remake, and during at some point in the 20th of September, and especially noticeable with Spyro Reunited Trilogy on the Nintendo Switch that I can able to play on the go, and probably do a Let's Play of those 3 trilogies of Spyro games. I'm not exactly 100% sure because, well, unlike Crash Bandicoot, when I managed to able to play these types of games no problem, well, despite some of these trial and error annoyances sometimes, at least from my knowledge anyway. And what was wrong with my jumping depth perception? Oh jeez, that was pretty dumb. But anyways, let's try this again, and hopefully for a successful attempt. And sure enough, for this particular section, as you can see, that we need to activate all of these switches. Thankfully though, it's not time limit or anything like that, so we need to activate all of them until we're able to actually free one of the enemies, as you can see right there. They usually got trapped inside the cage, and then once you've done so already, then obviously we're able to release that enemy from that specific cage. And of course, since the solar eclipse was a thing, so this means we have to wait until the actual Sun Master rises up, so... But I digress. So, I was thinking to myself enjoying the likes of it tomorrow, since after all, I'm really hoping I can play Super Mario Maker 2 and during tomorrow, when usually it's gonna come out. But I'm also able to actually decide to go after myself another Nintendo Switch Pro controller because, well, at the moment right now, I'm currently using my most recent one because otherwise, I just want to keep the actual controllers in a nice pristine condition as possible though. Well, at least to me though anyway.
We finally made it to the altar.
The little brats again.
Guardius!
You failed me, Joker.
My lord! It's just that these children are stronger than they seem, even though they're so weak. Though I did try.
It doesn't matter.
Phew. Guardius, just what is it you're planning on doing?
Planning. Nothing more than simple revenge.
Revenge?
Yes, upon the fools who imprisoned me in darkness. And who, even now, indulge themselves in pointless dreams. I'll drown you and this worthless world in a sea of nightmares. The songstress is in my power. And within the Moon Kingdom lies the egg of destruction. Soon it will reveal its true form to the world. The time has come.
Guardius!
Klonoa, we have to go after him.
There will be no need for that. Huh? Do you not understand? We are going to settle this right here and now. My pride will accept nothing less. It's time you children learned one final lesson. With the strength I've obtained from the power of darkness.
So anyways folks, here we go on to the next boss fight in the forms of this particular game, and that is of course Joker, which apparently he's not as intimidating as the forms of how it does it on the PlayStation version, I will admit it though, just because, well, despite the fact that every single character models are basically in 3D, no longer a 2D sprite, so you probably get the idea for that. So yeah, as far as what Piglet actually mentioned about this is that this is potentially one of the hardest boss fights in the game, but I honestly disagree on the Wii remake, just because, well, for one thing, obviously you have more health points, and two, I feel like Joker's attacks is actually way more slower than in forms of how it does it on the PlayStation counterpart to me though, just because, well, obviously if you couldn't tell, because as you can see on screen, that obviously that he just moves slightly slower than the forms of how it does it from previously, so I think it's pretty obvious for that point. So even I know that once he's transformed into his darker version of himself, then obviously we need to change the actual color panels to yellow, so that way we can able to actually transform him back to normal. So yeah, you probably get the idea of how this boss fight will go, so even I know, and also you need to be very careful of those, you know, these little enemies right there. They just manage to able to like you know, jump from like slash to slash and all that stuff. So even then, I always found that technique to be quite tricky to handle, even for trying to dodge them. So even then, once you get the hang of it, you will be fine. But of course, much like from the original version of the game, you need to watch out for bottomless pit down below, because if you do accidentally fall off, well, you need to restart the entire boss battle all over again. So even then, that will be some sort of a slog. Well, not so much for a slog to go through, but it's just that it's one little cautious thing you need to worry about. So apart from that though, this boss fight hands down is one of the easiest versions of the Joker boss fight, if only because you actually have more health points than basically from every single majority of the PlayStation version. And also, oh Jesus Christ, okay, never mind, because other than the fact that I'm not gonna give up on this guy very easily now, and boom, he's dead. And quite frankly, for a first attempt too, so that's pretty swell.
It appears that my time has finally come to an end. Defeated, disgraced, humiliated. But even so, it would seem the time has come. Listen closely to the sound of the Moon Kingdom reawakening. Soon, you will also be in darkness, in nightmares. In a world of destruction and nothingness. Lord Guardians!
Nightmare energy is spreading out all over the world.
Jump on, you two.
That's Pamela!
So yeah, we're no longer going to be seeing Joker in the entire Klonoa series, unfortunately, because until Empire of Dreams, potentially, as well as Lunar Tea's Veil, then obviously Joker will no longer going to be seen forever, because obviously he dies in an explosion, and sure enough, we're never going to see him again. So, but anyways though, I'm afraid to say guys, is that we got the endings off at this point right there, because I know this video is kind of lengthy in comparison, but we'll still have to go for it. So join me next time on Let's Play Klonoa for the Nintendo Wii. It's the fact that we're going to be hitting on to Vision 6-1 and Vision 6-2. So see you guys then. Later, fellas.